Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Tayland back with another tea video. Today I'm bringing you another green tea from Bitterleaf Teas. This one is Peak 2025 Spring Huangshan Maofeng Green Tea. This is the tin it comes in. I got this in the 25 gram size just to show you the quality of the tin as the rest of them have been. Nice thick lid. Plain metal tin inside, nothing crazy. There's the bottom. And we'll show you the wrapping real quick. So it came, as the last few have, in this plastic wrapping with this single-use package on the inside. And then it had this little twisty tie as well to seal that shut. So essentially you get kind of, if you kind of fold that over, you get like a triple wrapping in a way. But now I will just show you the leaves real quick as best I can. And we will do a quick dry leaf smell just straight out of the bag where it's the most concentrated. I gotta say, dry leaf smell smells just like a bale of hay. It's kind of crazy. Let me give it a little shake, agitate it a bit. Yeah, it's like a little bit of nuttiness, maybe a little like floral, like a little orchid maybe. But like overall dry smell, bale of hay. Not necessarily a bad thing, but definitely interesting. It's definitely crazy. Some of these green teas and fresh white teas, like I'll mention, there's a slight hay-like or straw-like smell, but this one, it's just like that. But let's get this packed up. Got it nice and folded in there. As always, I suggest keeping your green tea sealed real nice, away from air, away from light, and if you can, put it in the fridge to keep it fresh longer. If you're planning to drink it real quick, like this is only 25 grams. If you're gonna drink it super fast, fair enough. But if you want to make it last, like I do, fridge is the way to go. So first, I'm going to read off this website real quick. I don't know if you can see that or not. If not, it's fine. I'm going to read it to you anyway. Let me just show you the pictures real quick. And we will get reading. All right. So, Peak 2025 Spring Huangshan Maofeng Green Tea. $17 for 25 grams. It is $31 for 50 grams and $58, which will be two of the big 50-gram tins. But it goes for 56 cents a gram. And this Huangshan is made from entirely first picking pre-Ming Tuzong varietal, which has undergone charcoal roasting as well as our other Quintizong green tea. Sorry for the horrible pronunciation there. This less common heirloom varietal tea sprouts later in the season with a smaller yield, trading in some initial fragrance for a more rounded body and fuller sensation in the mouth. However, that's not to say this tea lacks in fragrance department. Our preference is always towards the older varietal, as it tends to have a more balanced profile and intriguing character, rather than relying on a strong initial impression that fades. In case of this tea, a pleasant orchid fragrance lingers in and coats the mouth and throat for quite a while after taking a sip. The soup is quite sweet with a strong umami quality, but not quite sweet with a strong umami quality. So isn't umami like savory? So they're saying it's sweet and savory, but not quite as grassy or vegetal as other examples. Where most green teas tend to abruptly drop on the third infusion, this tea remains quite interesting up to and past that point, developing in flavor and maintaining a strong body. Last year's tea wore the watermark of that spring season in Huangshan. In the first flush, Tuzong varietal teas were hit by hail, which left small bruising and tiny spots on the bottom of the tips of some leaves. The appearance of this year's will likely be different than that is in the photos, but since it hasn't been picked yet, last year's tea is shown for reference. If you've enjoyed our finest Mengding Ganlu, we highly recommend comparing with this tea, which I believe I have I have the one they just referenced right here. I chose to do this one last because this one I'm having now is 56 cents a gram, and I believe this one's around 83 cents a gram or something. So I was just going cheapest to most expensive. If you Ganlu, then we highly recommend with this tea. We share a similarity in terms of quality and price point with a significant difference in processing, rolling. Which the other tea I just showed you with the panda on it, that one sounded like it had more sweet notes, and this one sounds like it has more savory notes. Similar to the Ganlu, we recommend brewing this in 80 to 85 seawater in a glass Gong Dao Bai pitcher, and using a smaller amount of tea than you would for Gong Fu brewing. Something around 1 gram to 30 milliliters of water should be good, but feel free to adjust depending on taste. Brew first infusion for around 1 minute, then keep topping up the pitcher as you please. Should you want to brew Gong Fu style, we still recommend keeping water temperature low and using glassware if possible. So I'm going to do just that, what they suggest. Actually, we'll turn that off. It's throwing off the light balance too much. But we're going to do exactly what they suggest and brew in this pitcher, and we will be at 81C, brewing for a minute for that first infusion. Basically, they're making us do it grandpa style, so that should be pretty interesting. This pitcher, to my knowledge, holds about 120, maybe 130 milliliters. It is, maybe even more. It is a bit bigger than my Gaiwan, that's for sure. Which I believe my Gaiwan is, shoot, I don't even know how big this is. Frankly, it might be like 100, maybe 110, maybe 90. I don't know. This is the Jesse's Tea House set. But I like it quite a bit. But I'm going to pause here. Let this brew for a minute. I'll show you when I pour it out. Hey everyone, we are back. Let this green tea sit for about a minute now, and we will pour it out and give it a try. So I am fully just following the directions they had on the Bitterleaf had on the page for this tea. By all means, you can brew it any way you want. If you want to do just normal Gong Fu, if you want to do grandpa style, if you want to do it how I'm doing it, where it's kind of like it's basically grandpa style, right? They suggest, for whatever reason, use a Gong Dao Bai, which is a fairness pitcher, and low temp. Let it sit for that first steep for a minute, and then as you drink it down, add hot water as you go. So yeah, it's basically grandpa style. Nice thing about brewing low temp though is you can basically drink it right away without waiting. If you can see that color, there's not a ton of color to it. It's pretty light in color, like a light golden greenish tan color. Very, very light in color, but I will say not really any cloudiness, obviously no muddiness. They're very whole, fresh leaves, and a few little specks, but no big deal. There's a fair amount of sweetness to that. It's like a sweet, grassy, straw, hay kind of flavor. A little nutty, not really like the classic plant flavor per se, the vegetal, and there's not a ton of floral. There's a little bit in like the back of the throat, like going down. Very interesting. What I'm gonna do is drink this down, and I'll give a wet smell profile on these leaves, and then I'll top it back up and drink a little more and give my final thoughts. All right, so for my final thoughts on this tea, first let me just do a quick wet smell profile. All right, so the wet leaves smell a bit different, not really any floralness, and I'm not getting as much of that like hay note, because dry it smelled like a bale of hay. Now I'm getting a bit more nuttiness. I am still getting a bit of hay, getting a little bit of sweetness in the smell as well, but also a good amount of like a roasted chestnut, roasted soybean, edamame like flavor. But it smells good. And I think taste is developing, grandpa style. Obviously, the taste develops as you go. So while it's been sitting here and I've just been kind of sipping on it for, I don't know, it hasn't been long between pauses. I think like sipping on it for like 10 minutes or so. It's definitely developing a bit more in flavor. There's a little more body now. I can say very mouth watering up front and then kind of mouth drying on the end, which I personally like. That's just like makes you want to drink more tea. Very round, like kind of luscious, unctuous mouthfeel at first. A lot more full-bodied for a green tea than I'd expect. Keep in mind, not like full-bodied as a whole, but for a green tea it is. I'd put it overall body as like light to moderate, like kind of light in the middle. Not really developing any bitterness so far in this grandpa style. Quite savory, and I wouldn't say there's minerality, but it's approaching it. Maybe a really light minerality. It's like a real crispness, like it just like kind of cuts through your palate a little bit. And maybe that's the savoriness they were talking about. But then on the back end of the palate, there's like that sweet, like floral kind of hay-like flavor going down. That's really nice. But this tea's interesting. I like it. I don't think it'd be an all-the-time thing for me. I don't think this is necessarily exactly my thing, but it's definitely really solid, and I think a lot of people out there would like it. My preference, as we all know, leans towards sweeter and floral. This is definitely more savory and hay-like, not quite as nutty as like Dragonwell, but a little bit of nuttiness, sweetness on the back end, a little floral on the back end, but it's pretty light. Overall, great tea. I'd always recommend Bitterleaf. They've had really good green teas so far. I think my favorite still from them out of the green teas is the Early Bird. Just because it fits my personal taste preferences, but they're all really great so far. None of them are poor quality by any means, and I'd say probably the best bang for the buck would be your, what was it, Hulk. That one is super cheap, pretty solid. That could be like your everyday rise and grind. Throw some tea in your big ass thermos and throw some hot water in and just refill it throughout the day. But yeah, it's been Talon. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more tea content. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. How do we like this angle? How's the lighting? How's the sound? Let me know if you have anything to say, anything you want to see different. Always trying to make improvements. Been trying to edit and change things around. Just got accepted as YouTube partner, so I'll be able to roll out memberships to the channel and super chats, and I got some custom emotes made, and hopefully I'll be rolling out some custom videos, channel like membership videos. I'm never gonna hide like any tasting of a new tea behind one of those, but maybe I'll do some more different interesting tea related videos, like using different teaware, comparing different types of teas, that kind of stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. All right, thanks for watching. See ya.